What is up, everybody? Welcome into M&M Across the Board. Eric McDowell, Sean Martin, Ashley Miller, back with you again this week. And guys, this has been kind of a weird week. A lot of news of the week. And we don't talk a ton of golf on this program, but it felt like the best place to start because it feels like a water cooler topic that everyone is talking about. This LIV Golf Tour, the Saudi Arabian-backed tour. And I'll be honest with you, I thought this was going to be more of like a retirement tour type thing where the guys who couldn't win are going to go, or the guys who just couldn't win who are young were going to go. But there are more names jumping ship as we speak.
Well, we have breaking news, and that is happy anniversary to Sean and his lovely bride, Amy.
Yeah.
34 years, right? 34 years?
I shouldn't say it feels that way. That might come out wrong, but no. 14.
Congrats.
All right.
You should be sainted for tolerating me and me.
14 is a good start.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much.
So,
LIV Golf Tournament. Okay, a lot to unwrap here. This just sounds like the old USFL back in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right? You got some league, you got a funding source, and some of these guys are. I'll get into the social aspect of it later, but they're taking the payday over the golden goose is the PGA. I think some of them are a little nuts. You're resigning your membership. You know, Dustin Johnson. Look, they're valid. They have Dustin Johnson. They now have Phil Mickelson. They've got some names, and they're paying them to come and do it. It's a new concept. But boy, I think what a horrifically bad idea this is for some of these guys in their careers, because is it going to work? I don't know. It's not popular in a political sense. It's a disaster to get in bed with some of these guys with the Saudis, but I'll save that point for a few minutes. But what do you guys think? I mean, to resign your PGA membership. Now, Phil's not going to do it. He said he's not. And now he's going to be, to me, he's trying to force the PGA to ban him or to suspend him or whatever you want to call it. I think it's ill-advised. And even Kevin Na said he's resigning, and somebody, I can't remember the guy's name, Grayson something, tweeted at him, "Hey, thank you. We appreciate it. Our rounds just got 20 minutes faster."
Yeah, well, it started with Kevin saying, nah, goodbye, right? He was the first. And then you had Sergio, Charles Schwartzel, Dustin Johnson. That blows me out of the water. I mean, he's fourth in active wins with 24 wins behind Tiger, Phil, and VJ. But you touched on the USFL. That's right. I think of the startups like the WHA in hockey, the ABA. Some of them got absorbed. That won't happen here. But they throw money at these guys. Remember, Bobby Hull got a huge contract at WHA. And then some leagues, most of them disappeared or they got trebled and got $1, which isn't enough to buy a beer in the stadium. But there are serious political ramifications, as you said, that we'll touch on later. I'm very surprised at the names, and I feel bad for the PGA Tour leadership on this. This is a very, very difficult subject, Ashley.
Yeah, listen, I think, guys, money talks, and that has been proven time after time after time. The difference with this is that the money behind this is so much greater than the money behind something like the USFL. They offered Tiger Woods $1 billion to go play on this LIV Tour. He said no. But Dustin Johnson has made $74 million in his PGA Tour career. He just got a check for $100 million to go play on the LIV Tour. Of course he's going to do it. He just doubled his career earnings by saying, hey, I'm going to go play in this other league. It's 8 tournaments a year versus way more than that. He's got the money up front. He doesn't even need to win to make money. He's already made the money.
Here's the problem. It's where's the money coming from?
Yeah.
Okay. You have a country that suppresses human rights, that kill people for all kinds of what I consider to be archaic reasons. If you write something bad about them in a newspaper, they get the bone saw out. When you do that, you're now in bed with these guys. Okay, look, I get it. We always say money. Yeah, you're right, Ashley. Money talks. One of my favorite AC/DC songs. But at some point, you got to be able to live with yourself. Okay. And Greg Norman, who's the face of this, Jack Nicklaus is another. He turned them down. they got Greg Norman on there, and Greg Norman a few weeks ago said, well, they asked him about the Saudis' human rights history, and he said, well, I hope they learn their lesson. Who are you, Susan Collins? Greg Norman could run for senator in Maine now with that sort of, it defies. It doesn't make sense to me for some of these established guys to do this. I think fans make too much out of athletes' legacies, more so than the athletes themselves, because they're going to get paid. But it's just a bad look. Phil Mickelson's been my favorite golfer for a long time. He's dead to me now. Okay. The story with him and his wife battling cancer years ago when Phil was up and coming, that was heartwarming. That was great stuff. I don't feel the same way now, because you make decisions in your life and there's going to be consequences, and actions have consequences sometimes. Go get paid. But now they're going to become pariahs, especially the ones they're really actively fighting it in the media, and you're not going to win that fight. And for the PGA, competition is healthy. This isn't competition. This is, I don't know what it is, but I don't. It may sustain itself because they have a ton of cash over there. But is anybody going to really care?
I'm disgusted because of what happened to a media member. We have free media in our country. You're both media members. I know it's sports, but you're still part of the media, and there are no restrictions to the media. And here's a person who is coaxed to go into a place and is murdered, and this is what they're tapping into. To me, it's just a very bad message. I agree, Sean. I've lost all respect for Phil. It's going to be interesting to see how he performs, because he's been off since January. I understand golf is mental and as well as physical. So when they're out there, they can shut it all off. You're going to hear the heckling, all that stuff. But, we miss a putt in the last hole. We worry about it. These guys are focused. They're trained. Their brain is shut off to just look at each time. And they don't allow the press pass that says distractions on it. So once they're playing, that's different.
Well, here's the thing, though. They've already gotten paid.
Yeah.
Right? Who cares if they don't play
up
well?
front.
And let's be fair, they don't give a crap what you and I think, or what do they care? They got paid. But at some point, to me, at some point, who are you? What do you stand for?
You've sold out your soul.
Right.
That's what I think.
Yeah, you have to be okay. We said money talks, but listen, it's dirty money in a way. You know what I mean? It's money that is tainted because of where it comes from. But I think it was Graham McDowell who was basically like, listen, I'm just a golfer who wants to get paid. Well, that's BS. Like, you can't just sell all your morals down the river because you want to make money as a golfer. You've made money in your career, much more money than most people like the three of us have made in our career. You're doing just fine. You don't need to make that move. You want to make it. At the end of the day, it is a choice. You are not being forced to go play in this league. You don't need that money so badly that you're going to go play in this league. It's just enticing. So call it what it is, but you have to accept that. You have to let's just call the card what it is. Like, an ace is an ace. Like, that's what you're doing.
Yeah, look, it's not like if it was just a rival golf league that springs up, that's one thing.
Yep.
All right. Again, it's the source of the cash. That's the problem. And, maybe it's a little surprising the PGA has not faced competition like this, near as I can tell, forever. It's the same with tennis, right? Tennis has its circuit. I just think it's short-sighted and ill-advised for some of these guys, and especially if some of the younger guys jump in. Why are they doing it? Can't they cut it on the PGA Tour? Or some of them just, you don't like the tour, and here's another option, like Sergio whining a couple weeks ago.
Right.
I can't leave. Okay, if you got a beef, then go.
Well, the answer for Kevin Na is no, he can't win on the tour, so he's taking the easy way out. But that's what's going to happen. Like, there are going to be people who say, okay, the competition isn't going to be as good, so I'm going to go and play for more money and maybe have a better chance to win. Well, guess what? You're a loser then.
Yeah. Yeah, and even some of them are hiding behind the thing like, well, it's a team comp. I want something new.
Yeah, that's garbage.
No, that's crap.
Yeah, what's unique is, I think in pro sports we think of golf and tennis. You don't have a salary. You've got to work your butt off every week, especially in tennis. But in golf, you miss the cut. You've got a caddy to pay. You have the hotel, the travel, etc. You're on not charter flights, maybe a first class. I've seen a pro golfer on an American and United flight before. So it's different. So not defending them at all, but they're looking saying, wow, we've got the money up front. As you said, we've got a salary. We don't have to work as hard. And it stinks for all those other guys that aren't to that point. And the only thing I equate this to is World Team Tennis. Okay,
I
because
used to like that.
tennis and golf is individual. World team tennis, they had professional salaries and they had the guaranteed money. So in this case, if you're a member of the PGA and you're saying, boy, I wish I'd had that opportunity, they'll sell their soul out because now they don't have to work as hard. They're actually getting a salary, aren't they? It's really bizarre.
Yeah, I think though, like when you look at, and I get it, if you're not a top 50 golfer, life can be really tough.
Right.
If you're Bryson DeChambeau, you've won a major. If you're Dustin Johnson, you've won majors. If you've won a major, you're good for the rest of your life. If you've even come in top 10 occasionally, you're more than good. Like top 20 makes enough money to survive. So there are certain people who I would be like, yep, okay, fine. But there are others, like if you've won a major, then that's nope, doesn't sit well with me.
The problem, by the way, I was a big fan of the Golden Gators in the 70s, World Team Tennis, growing up in the Bay Area. Tom Ocker was the man. I can't remember. Terry Holiday, I think was a girl. Yeah, played against Chris Everett. Was in a. I mean, I'm a WTT guy going back 40 plus years.
We had the Boston Lobsters. Yeah.
The problem for especially some of or problem for all of them, but especially the younger guys, is you don't know if this league is going to survive.
Right.
Right. So it's like, I'll go back to the USFL. You had players coming out of college not good enough to make the NFL. It was a good outlet for them. Then after a couple of years, they were out of work and all that. But this is, pro golf is different.
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't have to be 6'5", 310 pounds to play defensive line. Okay, you have to be able to golf. And if you improve, if this league folds, is there going to be a home? Are they going to be welcome back? Or are they forever kind of labeled as the pariahs that left to go take dirty money?
Right. And this came out yesterday. Mickelson and DJ, who had already qualified for the US Open, will be allowed to play in the US Open because the US Open was like, listen, we're not going to tell guys, we've already established the rules. If you qualify or you got an exemption, you are allowed to play. But this will not necessarily be the case going forward. And you know what? Like, I know there could be litigation that comes down the pike, but if the PGA decides, hey, you go play for them, you're out. Guess what? Don't they have the right to do that? The courts may say no, but in my opinion, they've got every right to do it.
Okay, and the question is, if I finish second in the Masters to a guy that is now in that tour, he is a Masters champion. He came to the pre-tourney meal, and technically he's allowed to compete the Masters. But last I checked, it's a PGA event, and now he doesn't have a card. So not to get the lawyers involved, but the majors are going to be in situations where they've got to check their bylaws, don't you think? Because you got to have a PGA Tour card to win a PGA Tour major, right?
I also think the other part about this is you get your money when you join the tour, apparently. What about sponsorships? How many corporations, I mean, Phil already lost KPMG, I believe, right? So how many of these corporate sponsorships are going to want to be affiliated with that? Because
good point. Yeah.
Same thing. Okay. What do they really gain by joining this group and having their names bandied about? Are they going to want to do it? And if it goes sour, let's say Saudi Arabia has some sort of incident, another human rights violation. Are they going to run? Are they going to flee? Because do you want to be associated with it or not?
Well, listen, those are the same companies that are going to need to decide, are we standing firm or are we going to give in? Because these are all the same players who were saying, no way, not going to touch it. But as you saw people gradually go, now it's like, oh, well, it won't be that bad. Oh, I'll do it for a tournament. Oh, yeah, maybe a year. Like, so again, how long does it take until some company says, well, look at all the names over there. We could go run the show, basically. We could be the sponsor over there. And a little dirty money, like whatever. That's what players have done. So how long does it take before a company does that? Probably not all that long.
Well, golfers think of that whole. They're thinking of the money. They're thinking right now this way. Apparently, they're thinking the same way they do in the course. They don't think about the future. And what you two said, what's been said on here is we're talking about future ramifications. To them, they're worried about the putt right now, then the chip, whatever. Okay. That's what they think. And that's what they're thinking here. And their advisors are going to be by their side, hopefully, to say, think about what could happen here. Think about the worst case scenarios, because it could happen.
I think the smart person sits back and lets the dust settle after a year or two before you do it. If you're worried about your career, especially if you're a younger golfer, bide your time on the PGA Tour and see how it plays out.
Right.
The controversy may go away. It may not. It might intensify.
Yeah.
But it's a big risk.
Listen, this league, it's 8 tournaments this year, 10 tournaments next year, and then the official league launch, which I didn't even know was the case, isn't until 2024. So that's a long time until the league even officially launches, although they're coming here, which is a whole nother thing. They've got a U.S. event in like 2 weeks in Portland, Oregon. And that's something that now Bryson DeChambeau and Patrick Reed have been rumored to potentially be a part of. So there are guys who are kind of dipping their toes in the water, so to say, but also like, can you, if you're the United States, is it okay for that kind of, I don't know. I'm not sure what again, there are so many legal ramifications. Like it's probably happening at a private club. Are they allowed to have this tour in? Yeah, sure. Why not? Can you say they can't? I don't know.
I don't think you can say you can't, but if I'm the PGA, I'm not hosting events at any of those sites again.
No, we're done with you. We're done with you. That's right. And that's a chance you don't want to take. There's a lot of courses that put a ton of renovations in. They have to do a lot to kiss the tushies of the members about all the things that are put into a tournament, folks. It's not just 1 week. There's a hell of a lot of work all year long, and you do a lot of things to that course, and the money you get from the PGA helps your course and the members. You want to throw that away to take a chance on this thing. Good luck with that. If I'm a member of the course, I would say, nah.
Oh, if I was the PGA, I would strong arm those courses until, as the day is long.
Yeah.
And listen,
maybe it's a course that has no shot of getting a PGA Tour event. I don't know. So again, they're just going to take the money, better their course, and think, whatever, we don't have a chance to get a PGA Tour event anyway. I'm not sure.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. It's certainly not over yet.
No. But what also is not over is our good friends at Mohawk Honda. The team can find what you're looking for by searching our lot in the entire Eastern Seaboard just for you. But the real opportunity for you now is either trading in or selling your vehicle. Mohawk Honda buys cars, and in some cases, you may be able to sell it for more than you paid for it. The supply chain is still facing challenges, which creates a selling opportunity for you. And as always, the team at Mohawk Honda will make the buying and selling experience very easy. You know them as Cars with Kern, Trust Trav Landry, Luis the VIP Memorales, C-Mac Let's Do a Deal McKenna, Drive with Deanna Cowles, or you can just talk to the leader in charge, General Manager Greg Johnson. At Mohawk Honda and Freeman's Bridge Road in Scotia, they want to buy your car, and they always go out of their way to please you.
Are you doing Johnstone now?
No, they're back next week.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, just give them a free plug.
There you go. I have
free plug for Johnstone.
I have a couple others we'll get to momentarily.
My bad. As much as we had breaking news in the golf world, we had breaking news in the Major League Baseball world. Not one, but 2 Joes got fired this week. 2 World Series winning manager Joes got fired this week.
Joes.
And one I saw coming, but if you had asked me 4 weeks ago, even 2 weeks ago maybe, if Joe Madden was going to be without a job, I would have said, no, you're crazy. His team's like 27-17. We just talked about them as one of the biggest surprise of the MLB season. And now they are in the tank, haven't won a game in 2 weeks, and they don't have a manager.
That's too bad. Well, not the manager part. I'm not an Angels fan. Look, you got to do something to shake it up.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can blame Joe Madden. That pitching staff was in way over their heads for the first 2 months of the season. So a lot of those things come back to average out. Joe Madden, I'm going to ask you guys a question when we're done, but Joe Madden won 90 games or more 9 times in 11 years. When he took over in Tampa, they won 61 games his first year. 2 years ago, 2 years later, they were in the World Series. The man won the World Series with the Chicago Cubs. That should put him in royalty in the Windy City forever.
Correct.
I don't know that Joe Madden was the problem.
No.
Now, I did have a good friend of mine say this morning that not one player has come out to defend him, unlike the Philly players who came out to defend Joe Girardi. But the problem with the Angels is their roster sucks, and it has for years.
Yeah.
They've wasted Mike Trout's career, and that's not Joe Madden's fault.
And now they're wasting Shohei Ohtani's career.
And they threw a ton of cash at Anthony Rendon. He's been terrible.
Mm-hmm.
The pitching staff again was kind of a little bit over their skis. Now again, the averages come back. They don't have a very good roster, and that's been that way for a long time.
Well, it's to me, it's sad because he had a history there. They loved bringing him back. He was a player years ago there. He was a longtime coach. He was on social staff when they won it all. He was a popular hire. And he pulled off, as you said, the magic with Tampa. And there's no question, if I'm going to Chicago, I know he'll get me a free home-style draft next to him there. But he is 68. He still wants to manage. He can look at Dusty Baker and say, yeah, you got all the young guys, but he can make a point there. But the facts are there. Ohtani and Trout have been ice cold. Mm-hmm. We know Trout was 0 for 26. Yep. He got hurt again in the last night home game against Boston's 13th straight loss. Unfortunately, he is becoming Byron Buxton-ish. He can't stay in the field. And as you said, Sean, the pitching there has always been a problem historically. The bullpen's blown up again. When your closer Iglesias has a 4.91 ERA, you've got a lot of issues there. No question.
Yeah, you can't have – listen, we talked about this, arguably the best player on the planet. You can't have him going in an 0 for 30 slump. Like, when you don't have anyone else – he's got to carry your team. And so when he goes cold, guess what? The whole team is not going to win. In this stretch of games that they've lost 13 in a row now?
Yes.
So in the 12-game stretch before last night, minus 43 run differential and a 6.31 ERA in those 6 games. You are not going to win when you're doing that.
No. Again, who's constructing the roster there?
Well,
and you've got so much money in 3 guys.
Well, that's the thing. It's not like you're playing in, no offense, Kansas City. You're not in Kansas City. You're in Los Angeles, for crying out loud. You're in Anaheim. I've been there. It's awesome. They're flush with cash. They have an owner that's not afraid to spend money, and they still can't make the playoffs. Who's making the decisions? For a year, Mike Scioscia was kind of overrated, and they bring in Matt. I mean, at some point, you can't just look at the manager. You have to look at the roster construction. And they should be a destination place. That's how they got Ohtani. But why have they not been able to attract better players to such a great city and a great area to be in?
This was a great note I saw this morning, you two. The Angels, I don't want to laugh, but it's amazing. The Angels have more MVP awards on the roster, 4, than Trout and Ohtani have combined for playoff games played. 3. They've got to look at the farm system. They have a new GM this year, but they've got to develop players. And then they go out and get somebody like a Syndergaard who, Ashley, when you talk about the Angels, they were 12 over and they were a great story, but now Syndergaard's blown up. So I wish Phil Nevin the best of luck. I mean, he has managerial experience in the minors. Of course, he had his run as the third base coach of the Yankees and thrown out at home plate, basically, is how it ended. So Phil Nevin, good luck to him. And he and Mark Kotsay, 2 Cal State Fullerton former Titans that I saw play in college, are in the majors. So good. Congrats to Cal State Fullerton.
Yeah, poor Mark Kotsay. Anyway, 7-23 at home are the A's. What about Girardi, though? I had heard that he had lost the team. People on Twitter, I love my Twitter. I take it for what it is.
Yep.
Yankee Twitter's having a field day with Phil Nevin now being a manager because they couldn't wait to get rid of him.
Yeah.
And Rob Thompson, too. They're both those guys are Yankee guys that are now interim managers of both those teams.
Robbie Thompson. Yeah, he's a great coach, too.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, Girardi, it didn't surprise me. Maybe they just needed a shakeup.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Listen, again, I think the expectations there were a little greater when you have the reigning NL MVP and Bryce Harper. You've got 5 All-Stars on that team. Your payroll is way over the luxury tax. Like there's money at least in that team, a little more well-balanced. You've got a lot of money in that Angels team invested in 3 players, 2 or 3 of whom just aren't producing. But this team is like a little more well-balanced. A guy like JT Realmuto, like these are guys who just haven't quite gotten there. But like the expectations, I think, were so much higher because they were, again, had more talent that was kind of equal.
You're right. They need a little time to gel. Now, he was the first manager to be fired before the All-Star break since Matheny in St. Louis, and that was 4 years ago. But They went after offense. They're just not hitting. You got Schwarber at 197. I don't know when he's going to turn it around. Hoskins, 216. Once again, like the Angels, the bullpen arms, 5 of them have an ERA of 5 or higher. The bullpen is like that candle in a cake you can't blow out. It keeps burning. We've talked about their horrible bullpen for years. But remember Dave Dombrowski. He does not have patience. He's proven that. He'll sell out your minor league program and go for it all. Now, they're 12 behind, spending $227 million. But give the Mets the division if you want. They're still in the wild card race. So you got to make the shakeup. You got to do it now.
Yeah, but nobody's hitting in baseball yet.
Right.
You know, you got a different funky ball this year. No one's hitting. So
well, Aaron Judge is doing okay.
What's that?
I said Aaron Judge is doing okay.
No, you got a few.
Yeah.
You got a few. For the 40 and 15 New York Yankees, actually, that's got to be sitting pretty well.
Yeah, I always say, like, as a Yankee fan, you know it's not – that's like a honeymoon kind of thing. You know it's not going to last. But, yeah, they're going to pay that dude. They're going to pay him a lot of money.
Here's the question I want to ask. Go back to Joe Madden for a second. I hear my buddy in Massachusetts getting fired up with this question. He didn't need caffeine after we talked today. Is Joe Madden a Hall of Famer?
Oh. Well, that's like Don Newcomb. Is he a Hall of Famer because he pitched, you know, or Don Larson, I'm thinking of, because of one glorious moment?
Madden did have one glorious moment. He took Tampa to the series 3 times.
Yeah, I'm going to say yes.
He won a ton of games.
Yeah, I'm going to say yes.
He
was the start of the resurrection of the Tampa Bay Rays, which has continued. But he also was a different thinker. He was kind of just a quirky guy who seemed to be likable to most of his players. He kind of let them do whatever they wanted. He seemed like the guy who was just different than everyone else, but took a team from the basement to the World Series, and then took a team that hadn't won a freaking World Series in 100 billion years and gave the Chicago Cubs a title. I think that alone gets you in the Hall of Fame. I know it's stupid because maybe there's other managers who are not going to sniff it, even just with one. Like, is Charlie Manuel going to go to the Hall of Fame?
Well, no. Dusty Baker.
He's got a World Series. Dusty Baker's in.
Well, to be fair, Theo Epstein gave him a great circumstance in Chicago.
Yeah.
It was the right fit, right? They were ready to go. They needed the right guy in the room. And that was it. And maybe Joe Madden's one of those guys that he's a 5 or 6 years with a franchise guy before he gets sick of him. Maybe that's it. But again, the wins stand for themselves. I don't know if he's a Hall of Famer, but you can make the case.
Yeah.
I think what he did in Tampa was more remarkable because the Cubs were built to win, and it wasn't. But what he did in Tampa in that division, you're playing 38 games against Boston and New York alone. And he took a franchise with no home atmosphere. I've been there. It's like watching a game in a cemetery, and the only people you hear cheering are for Boston and New York. So I agree with Ashley. I think he should go in, and I think more so for what he did with Tampa and how they've sustained what he's done. My question for you two is, first of all, Girardi's probably already at the MLB Network in his old office. He's always got a job there. It's great on TV. What openings are coming up? I would look at Seattle. Service, that's been a disaster. They were one game out of the playoffs.
They're playing better now, though. They're playing better baseball.
They're getting there, but Seattle, Colorado, and Washington, because Martinez has a 2023 option coming up next month. What do you think Girardi or Madden might wind up next at this point, or sit the year?
Yeah, my guess is that you sit the year. And you just wait for things to play out, because then you have your choice of job and you're not just jumping at the first job that's open. They've already named Phil Nevin interim manager for the remainder of the season. So they're not going to hire mid-season. They're going to let that play out. I see both of them getting back in. I don't think it's this year. And maybe people are more, I just see teams going more to a guy like maybe Matt Quatraro finally gets that first crack at an MLB manager job. Do you go to a guy like him instead of bringing a guy back like a Girardi, who's been around the block 3 times, and like a Joe Madden, who's been around the block 3 times? I think you start to see new guys getting chances. Like, listen, Gabe Kapler, I know he didn't work out in Philadelphia. He's been good in San Francisco. Like, guys like that who are getting their first cracks at MLB manager jobs, I see maybe getting jobs before those two guys.
Like Akatse, Sean. He fits her mold.
I think you also have, it's harder for older managers set in their ways to relate to players in this age. I think players now are a little too soft, a little too sensitive. They're too caught up in their feelings, and they just don't react well to a disciplinarian.
Yeah.
We've seen it in all different sports. We've seen it at the college level. Basketball, hockey, you name it. You see it.
Yeah.
And I think
Dusty Baker was the exception to that rule because that franchise was in like Mach 10, red alert, like trash can banging. They needed somebody to come in and just. So he was your guy, but he couldn't have done that on every other team in the league.
Yeah, no.
Now, you have a Will Venable, for example, a longtime bench coach, which is what Madden was during the years with Socha. Everybody talked Madden's going to get a crack, get a shot. And the same thing for those guys like a Will Venable, who has been a great bench coach, soaking it in. Those are the type of guys because they also know analytics. And Sean, as you touched on, the older guys don't know analytics. They can't spell it. They don't care about the computer. They care about their gut and their heart when they manage. And that's not going over well with these hotshot young GMs now either.
Yeah.
Listen, how bad would LA love to have Mike Scioscia back now? Like the glory years of Mike Scioscia, who had such a crazy run there. But also you look at like Charlie Manuel won the World Series in 2008, got fired in 2013. Girardi's the 5th manager since 2013 in Philadelphia. So Girardi's not the only guy who hasn't won there, but they haven't really given anyone a whole lot of time if you've had 5 managers in 9 years.
Some of these GMs make the moves to save their own asses.
Yep.
You know, that's how it goes.
Yep. Yeah, somebody's the fall guy, and it's always the manager.
Well, you mentioned Kapler, and there was a guy named Terry Francona that they gave up on. He had chicken blank to work with, and suddenly they just threw him out to the Wolves, and things worked out just fine for him too.
Yeah.
Yes, it did. Hey, breaking news. We are welcoming a new sponsor to the show.
Oh, okay.
This summer, if you're looking to buy tickets to your favorite band, sports team, venue, or more, remember to buy your tickets at SeatGeek, SeatGeek. My spelling skills are top-notch.
SeatGeek.
Visit SeatGeek.com to search for the event that you want to buy tickets for this summer. If your total ticket buy is over $50, use the promo code GOZ. That's G-O-Z. GOZ to get $20 off your purchase. Any ticket purchase over $50 from SeatGeek.com, use the promo code GOZ to get $20 off your order. Save some money and enjoy the summer by using SeatGeek.com and promo GOZ. And also, for those here in the 518, the Albany Empire are back at MVP Arena Sunday, June 26th. Buy your tickets today at albanyempire.nal.com or by calling 518-714-2200 extension 1001.
Hey, it was great to see Gaz in the broadcast booth doing color with Andrew Santillo at the Empire game the other night.
Absolutely. Oh, where we go next? To the hardwood?
To the hardwood.
Here's the burning question. I had it on Pugsley's Pit yesterday with our friend Gardner Royce.
Okay.
The burning question in game 2. You know, the Celtics got to figure out the third quarter woes. I want to bring up the Draymond Green incident. And it really irks me when you see people say, well, he shouldn't have been kicked out of the game. They made the right call. My point is that's not the right question to ask. It's his fault. He picked up a technical early in the game. Was his play against Jaylen Brown with the feet and all that stuff? Did that one individual play deserve a technical? And did he get preferential treatment because he's a star player and the officials knew that if they tee him up, he's out of the game? And that could really change the flow of the game. Did the officials aid that? And now you're giving free room to some of your better players that once they're teed up, they know they have a little more wiggle room there instead of holding them accountable.
I got to tell you, I did not like the commentary when I believe it was Van Gundy that said, well, you got to understand what this technical means later on. What are you talking about? If it's a technical, call it. If it isn't, don't call it. But no referee in any sport or umpire should say, well, geez, We don't want to eject a Mike Trout in the first inning or Ohtani for the fans that want to see him later. We don't want to give a technical now. What if he gets – are you kidding me? I heard that commentary, and I thought that was a disgrace. Make the call either way. Don't think about the ramifications of either side, right?
Yeah. Listen, I agree. If it's a technical, you call it a technical, but I find it hard to believe that no one reffing those games treats Draymond Green differently than any other player, because I think they do. It's just now become a thing where they look at him, they know the past. You can't ignore past. You've set a precedent. You've set that you are the guy who picks up technicals and who's a pain in the you-know-what to deal with. I don't feel bad for him, but I agree. Call it as you see it. If it's a technical, call it a technical. If it's not, don't. But you can't be thinking, okay, well, I gave that guy a technical now, so I better be careful what I give him later, because then that means he gets tossed.
Right.
That's not your problem.
It promotes the boorish behavior. And I like watching him play, right? He plays a vital role for that team and does a lot of the little things. But again, now what? So if a guy gets teed up, now he's got more room to be doing things that are normally a technical foul. And that's the problem with it. And shame on him for blowing one early.
Right.
But anyway, the Celtics, I had the numbers yesterday. Horford, 2 points in 28 minutes. Williams, 2 and 14. Marcus Smart, 2, I think, in 25. That can't happen again. They gotta contribute, or else
they won because of surprise performances from a guy like Al Horford and a guy like Derek White. That's why they won games.
That's right.
Al Horford looked like he was 40 years older than everyone on the court in game 2, and he couldn't hold on to the basketball. I thought, oh my God, how is this the same player that we saw score 30 points the other day in a career playoff high? How is it the same person? It looked like he didn't know what he was doing out there.
We've talked about the Celtics defense. How about the defense of the Golden State Warriors? Okay. Yeah. Boston was 9 for 34 inside the arc in the first 3 quarters of game 2. Couldn't do anything. And Doug had a great quote, Coach. He said, they pack the paint. They're a little undersized, so they pack the paint. Their rotations are very good defensively. And Draymond Green kept them off balance. The numbers that you just said has a lot to do with what Draymond Green has done over the years to bring the title. And the other point was, in 2 games, the Celtics have been outscored by Golden State by 35 points, okay, in a quarter. You just can't do it. The trend of falling behind and then turning it on and saying, we'll wipe out big leagues, it's worked to this point. But you can't do it to win a championship, okay? Congrats to Smart for getting things going. But you can't let those runs take off. There's timeouts for a reason. And Golden State's defense, we'll talk about Curry, of course, but the defensive effort they put on, Steve Kerr, looked like he was playing in that game.
I think tonight you're going to see a very physical Celtic team, because if they can't get fired up after getting, we call it getting pushed around a little bit.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, okay. So I think you'll get their best shot tonight if they can minimize those turnovers.
Yep.
But also you look at coaching adjustments. Halftime. Is Steve Kerr putting on a clinic here? And it's because the Celtics have had trouble in the third quarter through some of these playoffs.
Yeah.
Are we seeing some inexperience here on their bench? I don't know the answer to
yes.
that. The numbers don't lie.
No doubt. I mean, Udoka looked totally flustered and overmatched when that run was going on in game 2. It was like, he was like, do I call a timeout? I don't even know if a timeout's going to help. Like, we can't hang on to the ball. We're turning it over. They're just coming back and hitting half-court shots. And listen, some of that is getting half-court shots, and Steph Curry hitting 45-point threes or 45-foot threes. Like, some of that is a little bit of luck, but like, things just spiraled totally out of control, and it was like he couldn't stop it and didn't know what to do in that situation.
Well, when the Warriors start to struggle, you put the ball in the hands of number 30. And in the second game, the Celtics were in good shape. 2-point game. Thompson in the first half was 1 of 8. Poole 1 of 5. Great defense. Curry says, give me the damn ball. That's all he had to say. He gets 14 to third. As Sean said, all of a sudden, the third quarter, the adjustment is, here's the ball, Steph. Do your thing. 1-point advantage in that quarter, just like that. The flip side, if you put all the defense on him, then the other guys will start to get hot. And we saw that too. I don't know which way you go with this.
Yeah. the Celtics aren't going to be that bad again. And at the end of the day, listen, the Celtics did what they had to do. They split at Golden State. That's all you can ask for. You've now got home court advantage. It's all good. So I feel like people are freaking out a little bit too much. We saw, how many times did we see in that Heat Celtics series? Lopsided win after lopsided win after 20-point run after 20-point run. And it was a competitive series. Maybe not competitive game by game, but a competitive series. So I think maybe we're overreacting a little, but I think you're right, Sean. I think you see a totally different Celtics team. You're not going to see a team that's going to get blown out at home. They'll be just fine.
They've responded every time they've been challenged in this playoff run, which is why they're here. But Golden State's they're a different cut. Golden State. Here's a question I asked for you guys. You guys picked the Warriors at the start of the series. It's 1-1 going to Boston for 3 games. You still feeling good about that prediction, or is there some concern?
No, I feel good. I mean, listen, I wouldn't be surprised if either team won, but I feel good about it.
They have the best player on the court of all the teams. And the other one has to rely, it's deep and a lot of guys, but they have to rely on 2 or 3 guys to step up. You've got Horford now showing his age, all of that stuff. But you've got one other guy that flat out can dominate a game. And in the NBA Finals over the years, he's done it. We go back all the way through to Jordan, Wilt. When you have that one guy, and the day that Memphis gets in, Jay Morant will be that one guy. That should be what puts you over the top. Would I be happy? Happy for the Warriors in some extent, obviously, for history. But I love this Celtic team, and I really hope they can pull it out. It would be a marvelous story from what they did since January.
Time out. Did you just say Wilt? How many titles he win? 1, 2?
Excuse me? Wilt?
Yeah, he didn't win a whole lot. Bill Russell owned him.
But when he wasn't playing Bill, he dominated. How's that?
Better. I'll give you that one.
I hope it goes
technical. That was a timeout. I was calling.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think you just teed him up, right?
No. I wouldn't.
No, because he knows I could get a second one later.
It's got to be more egregious than that.
Yeah, right. Don't give him any teas. I
don't want to have to kick him out of the show.
No, that'd be terrible.
It's too valuable. NHL.
We all called this one, right? I mean, Avs to the finals. Made it look listen, let's call it what it is. They made it look pretty easy. I know game 4 was a slugfest, but they erased 2 multi-goal deficits, 1 in overtime. They were the better team. And we all said that going into this. They're the better team. The Oilers just aren't there yet. The result we all thought.
I think I closed our segment last week by saying Cale Makar would be the difference. He had 5 points in that game 4. He is 2 guys have elevated themselves through these playoffs. McDavid, I talked about big time last week, but now it's Makar because he is that good. And teams can't match him. And they're going to be a real tough go for whoever wins this Eastern Conference final.
No doubt.
He is or coffee-ish right now in the playoffs. And the Oilers, again, I think I may have mentioned, but they should have gotten Fleury. I'm not saying in the net that went to Minnesota. I'm not saying that they would advance, but Smith is not the answer. Right now, they have 2 sieves in the net. So the number one thing Edmonton's got to do is find a goaltender, develop somebody. I think they've got to get a veteran to get them to the next level in the playoffs. And the other thing, the big story too, Arturi Lehkonen did it for Montreal, and then the OT goal to send his team into the Stanley Cup Finals. They love him in the locker room. He's been the best deadline get I think any team would take at this point. He has just been great. I'm glad it's not a goalie because letting him in would be a similar call. But what a difference he and Makar have made, guys you don't hear about except on our show. How's that?
Yeah, I think I read an article this morning, and I think it was McKinnon who said, he was like, listen, I would have traded 10 first-round picks for Lehkonen because he's just been that much of a difference maker. Now, obviously, he's exaggerating, but that tells you what his teammates think of him. Like, he has been so much of a difference for that team, and they think he's why they're kind of over the hump here.
Yeah, Wayne Gretzky uttered Cale Makar's name in the same breath as Bobby Orr last night. And in the East, I still like the Rangers. 2-2, Tampa's going to not go down. They're going to go down with a fight. But it seemed like last night the Rangers Tampa kind of letting them hang around.
They got dominated last night.
They did, but
dominated.
It was 1-0 for the longest time.
Yeah, but it should have probably been 3-0.
Yeah.
I mean, that the entire first, at least the first period, but into the second was played in Tampa's offensive zone most of the game. Their forecheck was awesome. They just kept taking the puck back, trying to shove it down their throat. Shesterkin wasn't his best, but he wasn't bad. When you are so busy in your defensive zone, you're not going to stop everything.
Right.
Well, go ahead.
Mike Zibanejad, am I pronouncing that right?
No.
Okay. He is now the leading scorer in the playoffs with 24. Okay, think about that. For what he's done with the Rangers. We've talked about Draisaitl and McDavid. They combined for 65. Gone. Here's this kid, Mike, that has 24 points for the Rangers. It's still their power play. A power play goal in 8 of their last 9 and 17 of 53. 32%. Stay out of the damn box.
Yeah.
Because if you put them on a power play, they're going to come through. That's really been a big story for them.
Yep. That's why they've won. Between Zibanejad and Kreider, that power play has been unbelievable. So that has been the difference. I just thought, I would worry a little bit because they looked, I don't know if they were tired. They looked totally overmatched. And maybe it was just a matter of Tampa Bay in games 1 and 2 after having 8 days off or something in between. So they sweep the Panthers and then they have to wait around for the Rangers. There's such thing as rust. Maybe that was just it. And now they've got their legs under them. And Andrei Vasilevsky has kind of figured it out because he was bad in games 1 and 2. He's been really good in 3 and 4. Maybe it's a matter of home ice advantage. So we'll see. New York is a different team at home. They've won 1 billion games in a row. They're going back to the Garden. So we'll see how that changes things.
And the Avs rest up.
Advantage. Whether it's good or not, we'll see.
Well, one thing I want to mention with Edmonton, I think Edmonton has hit their ceiling. They have done such a poor job all these years about building. And they've had McDavid, the greatest player on the planet, and Draisaitl, ages 25 and 26, and they haven't given them a whole lot of help. The drafting's been poor. Mike Smith he's a capable NHL goalie, but he's not a top flight NHL goalie. He had 1 good year with Arizona. Other than that, he's been kind of a journeyman, an average guy. And shame on Edmonton. Edmonton's kind of like the LA Angels. They've done nothing to really help out their superstars to support them with depth. And if you don't have depth in the NHL, you got a big problem on your hands.
But I think that's kind of what Eric was saying. If you go, the number one priority should be a goalie. If you go get a goalie who is more than Mike Smith, does that give you a shot?
You don't have to win every game for your team as the goalie. Right. But you can't keep losing.
Right, you can't lose them for them. Yep.
Well, you're right. Mike Smith wasn't good in this series, but he wasn't the biggest. He wasn't the only problem.
Right.
Okay, his play wasn't the reason why they got swept. They got swept because the Avs are just deep through 4 lines and on the blue line, and the Avs have a hole in goal right now too. But you didn't see it in this series, even though against a great Edmonton team. That's how good Colorado is. I don't know if Edmonton can get there. With these 2 guys, because they haven't shown that they can, the front office.
But let's see. I'll be interested to see. So, whatever the numbers were of Smith giving up goals against the Avs, they're going to face, we've talked about it, the best goalie on the planet. Whoever comes out of this series will be playing like the best goalie on the planet. But no matter which goalie they face, whether it's Vasilevsky or Shesterkin, the toughest goalie on the planet that they've faced maybe all year, what are the numbers that they put up against 2 greats versus a guy like Mike Smith? I still think Colorado's going to score.
So
Vasilevsky didn't allow a man-even goal in that big game. 95 save percent, the must-win. He's now hot. The blip in that screen that we saw earlier with him, he's gone. The other guy that I want to mention was Palat. They call him Mr. Reliable, according to Stamkos. Here's another guy behind the scenes. 44 playoff goals, second most in Lightning history. People say, well, Lightning haven't been around that long. They're not original 6. Are you kidding me? They're playing deep. They're playing a ton of playoff games to win 2 cups. Okay. And this is where the behind the scenes guys shine. So those of us that aren't in the locker room knows it. Now all of North America gets to see these guys behind the scenes, not just the stars, but the guys that really are the glue to the team.
Yeah. I don't know what my pick was originally, but I'm going to go. I think I picked the Lightning, didn't I?
I think you did.
Yeah.
I think I'm still going to go with the Lightning.
Rangers 7.
Mm.
We're not changing. We're not jumping ship yet.
No, I got to go with the Lightning. They're not the Oilers. They've been there, done that, and they will find a way to win on the road as well. I think they're going to take it in 7. Great series, though. Really.
Yeah. All right. Who's going first?
May I go first since we're talking hockey?
Have at it.
I got my stencil out for some more artwork today.
Oh, I love when you draw.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, that's a good beat. The hub.
Yeah. So numbers don't lie, right? 245 wins, 108 losses, second best winning percentage in 6 years in the NHL, only behind the Lightning. 6 playoff appearances in 6 years. What does that get you? It gets you fired in Boston. When the problem is the general manager, who I, to this day, will say he's the softest player to ever play in the NHL. Don Sweeney was a defenseman who couldn't score, didn't assist very well, and wouldn't know a body check if it came up and slammed him against the wall down the hallway in my office. I love Cam Neely. He's my second favorite Bruin of all time. This is on Cam Neely because he chose a general manager with a worse draft record than the John Gruden, Mike Mayock, Oakland Raiders, and he chose him over Bruce Cassidy, and that's just wrong. Bruce Cassidy, there's I think 6 openings right now. Take Boston out, there's 5. He could probably have any one of those jobs. And Don Sweeney came out in his press conference yesterday. I couldn't bring myself to watch it because I don't want to have to go buy a new computer screen. But he came out, I read about it today, and he came out and he basically said, well, he didn't relate to our younger players. Now, the Bruins have had a bad history lately of bringing up younger guys and they don't fulfill their promise. Is that Cassidy's coaching, or is that Don Sweeney not getting the right players to fit a very successful system? Don Sweeney said some of the younger players didn't like being told the truth by Bruce Cassidy. Well, hello, McFly, coaches have to coach. It goes back to what I said earlier with Joe Madden. Are these guys so soft that if a coach tells them how it is and tells them the truth, instead of sucking it up, Jake DeBrusk, I'm talking to you, play hard. Listen to the guy. He's your coach. Play hard. Don't be so damn soft. And now the coach gets thrown under the bus. And now the Bruins, to me, this signals Patrice Bergeron's probably going to retire.
Yeah.
Because I'm hearing the 2 guys that are the front runners to replace him. Jay Leach, who's paid his dues, who was here in Albany for a time with the River Rats as a player, coached in Providence and an assistant in Seattle, and David Quinn, who was a complete disaster for the Rangers. Because they are considered to be more player accessible, they're softer on the players. Call it what it is. That's a horrible recipe. It's a horrible recipe. I mean, I get you have a disciplinarian, you don't replace him with another one. You go with more of a player's coach. I don't want a guy who's never coached in the NHL coaching my team, or Quinn has horribly, because the players might like him. That's what Nebraska did a few years ago when Bo Pelini talked himself out of his job in Lincoln after winning 9-10 games a year. And they brought in Mike Riley because he didn't swear. Never mind that he couldn't win any football games, but he was such a good old country bumpkin that he would probably, yeah, great. Okay, I'd rather have a guy swearing winning 10 games a year, and now the Nebraska's mediocre. It's the same thing. So for the Bruins, you blew it. Don Sweeney should not have a job in the NHL ever, and he shouldn't have one today. I'm done.
If I may, as a Bruin fan, Sean and I have had this discussion, Ashley. I'm tired of the quotes of GMs where they say, we thank him, we wish him, his wife, his family, his butcher, his baker, all the best, and all that lovely stuff. And then the next day you say, well, his style takes its toll. Okay. He couldn't develop people. Has anybody seen McAvoy from where he was and how he's been developed, or where Krug was that got himself the great contract to St. Louis? Okay. I get it. There's times where you need a different voice in the locker room. You got Bruce Boudreau, who's Mr. Fix-It, okay? He goes into Vancouver or Washington or Anaheim, and within 3 years, his flame is gone. So there are guys like that. But there's a hell of a lot of organizations right now that would love a Bruce Cassidy, whether it's Winnipeg, Anaheim, Ottawa, a tremendous impact that he made. As you said, the 6-year record, just an excellent effort, and it is taking the toll should be taken from what's up top. And I'm going all the way up to the Jacobs family in that respect.
Oh, they're
very disappointed.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm just going to say this, and yes or no, is the NHL the quickest to fire coaches who are undeserving? I think it's a yes.
Yes.
Like if you, Gerard Gallant, Barry Trotz, these are guys who won like 2 freaking years ago. And 2 years later, they're on the block. Guess what? Winning for somebody else. Because Gerard Gallant has the Rangers in the Eastern Conference Finals. And Barry Trotz has been, pretty good with every team he's coached.
I think it's close with NHL and NBA, but I think it's worse with the NHL.
Yeah.
It's a revolving door for most of these franchises.
Yeah, I think so too.
Pat
Because
Burns.
it's guys who have been
that.
deep into the playoffs. And then 2 years later, they're walking. Like, I think in the NBA, it's like you have mild success and that's not enough. So then you get the door. But yeah.
Claude Julien had a nice start to his career in Montreal. He went to the Devils. They fired him early in the year, and he goes to Boston and wins a cup and had a great run there. I think all-time leader in wins. Yeah, the NHL is too trigger happy, I think, and I don't know. I don't get this one.
Yeah, it's brutal.
But it is the one sport where I agree you want to get an experienced guy, Daryl Sutter, Pat Burns. It's different than baseball. You need those guys because it's such a different type of sport, and those guys need a veteran coach. So we'll see him hired very quickly, and it is a sad state of affairs in Boston, and a lot of guys, last point, are going under surgery right now. May not even be healthy come camp.
They're not. McAvoy, Marchand, Grizzly, a couple others. I can't think of them. It's going to be a tough start to the year.
Thank you.
All right. You want me to go, Eric?
Sure.
Dog bite. I wasn't sure what to write on there. I wasn't about to test my caricature / drawing skills by drawing a dog. So yeah, earlier in the week, Max Scherzer got bit by his dog in an incident that he called no big deal, a non-story. I get it. He's pissed that like something is being made of what he considers nothing. I don't disagree, but at the same time, I disagree. You signed a 3-year, $130 million contract before the season started. You're currently on the shelf with an oblique strain until July for a team that is leading its division. Your dog bit you on your pitching hand. You couldn't throw for a day. And you think people are just going to let it sail? They're not going to give a you-know-what about it? Your pitching hand is worth $43 million a year. Of course they're going to care if you get bit by your dog in your pitching hand. I don't care if it was like a fake bite that didn't even break the skin. People don't know. Or maybe you got stitches. Who knows? So for him to act like so nonchalant and to be like, it's not a story, it's a non-starter, no big deal. Yeah, I get it from your perspective. But everything you do with your $43 million hand, arm, elbow, shoulder for the next 3 years of your life will be over-scrutinized. So I'm glad you're okay and that your dog's okay because his dog allegedly got hurt and that's why he bit him, whatever. But yeah, you're worth too much money for people not to care about your pitching hand.
It's like the movie Bull Durham. Crash Davis teaches Nuke to, if he's going to throw a punch, throw it with your non-throwing hand.
Yes.
Right. This is applicable here.
Yep.
God, they remove pitchers now actually with a hangnail or with a blister. Yeah. So a dog bite's a lot worse than those.
Was it Pavano who punched like a wall with his hand? Carl Pavano?
Well, there's been a few.
Yeah. Kevin Brown.
Been a few. Yeah. Jesus Luzardo last year for the A's broke his finger, broke his hand after playing a video game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dugouts are not padded.
No, and you know what? I hate to say it. Max isn't going to get the benefit of doubt from anybody who remembers the lockout where he was the face of the whatever. He wasn't very positive. Let's put it that way.
Right. All right. This one is a different kind of sports camp. Okay, this week's Hat of the Week is from the Bowie Bay Sox, a AA affiliate of the Baltimore Orioles. Please no jokes about their pitching. Convention was held in D.C. for students interested in entering the field of athletics communications, doing websites, stats, media relations, etc. Ashley and Sean work with these people in our area quite often. I had created a camp in which students came to nearby Annapolis, Maryland, for a full day of sessions learning from a variety of professionals. We also had media guests there. Now, the night before, the Bay Sox hosted us at a reception with a pregame ballpark food, a tour of the facility, checking out the radio broadcast during the game, the PA announcer, talking to the writers, and 2 students even got to throw out the first pitch. Now, that was 4 years ago in June. I bring it up because since then, both the people who threw out the first pitch are now full-time in the profession, and many other campers are as well. It's nice to know that there are youth camps and sports camps in the summer, but with this camp, it was a fun and great learning tool. And although this week it has been virtual, in the future it can come back and also enjoy a night at the game and enjoy learning about a really cool profession in sports.
Sweet.
It's a nice way to end.
I love it. Guys, I went on, not because I just went on vacation, sort of, but either way, we went on a date night last night because we had a day off in common, and we were here. Went to see the new Top Gun movie. Freaking awesome.
I've heard it's better than the original, and the original I love.
Yeah, I would have to go see the original again. I've seen it, and I remembered enough about it. It's incredible. You should go see it. Take your wives. I'm sure they would appreciate it. It's a feel good kind of thing. It's just good to be back in theaters for something that is like so nostalgic. Tom Cruise looks like he hasn't aged a day in his life, which is unbelievable, but it is awesome. You should definitely see it. Yeah.
Look, the not aging thing. Yeah. A couple of us, hey, we have that. We have that. Tom and I share that. I'd like to see it. And by the way, if you scan the TV listings at any time, Top Gun seems to be on 24/7 on different networks. But they're all putting it back to promote this. And this is a movie I definitely wanted to go see.
It's awesome.
Actually, we'd like to go. My question is the newly minted 11-year-old. I assume it would be fine for her as well.
Yeah, I mean, a little old for her, but she could appreciate it. The flight scenes are so cool. The technology, like I would like to go watch the old one to see like the changes in what they've been able to do of scenes like within a plane. And it's just wild. It's really cool.
Great.
Awesome.
Show her the first one first and then see if she likes it. If she likes it, goes to the second one.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, I look forward to that.
Well, thanks.
Or get a babysitter and do a date night.
Well, we'd like a date night, but she'd like to join us. So that's fine.
Well, I owe my wife a date night. We had our anniversary last night. She got leftovers, and I went to a PTA meeting. So
there you go. You can do a date night and see Top Gun.
Hey, tonight, this show is like stew. A lot of good stuff in it.
Yeah, very good.
Beef stew.
All right.
We'll see you next week. Will we have a finals, an NHL Stanley Cup finals ready? Probably.
Yeah, I think so.
Close?
Yeah.
If it goes 7, it might be a little bit, but
we'll get there.
All right. We'll see you next week.
All right. Bye, all.
Thank you.